Please put your hands together for Mr. Rick Perlstein, all from Nixonland!
It's hot up here under these lights.
It's the only place in here that's hot.
Yeah! Someone got this for me. I don't know. I got it in the mail one day. Anyway, I got an email from my mom yesterday saying, Rick, are you doing stand-up comedy now? And she has a Google alert for me. And apparently it said comic Rick Perlstein and drinking liberally. So I was thinking about that. I was like, thank God I'm not a comic. Because what's it mean to be a comedian? You have to go up on stage and you have to be terrified that you're not going to be funny. So I'm not a comic, so I don't have to worry about not being funny. So I can relax and be hilarious. C-SPAN. C-SPAN! I actually got that survey. I swear to God. The ranking the president survey. From Brian Lamb, he sent it in the mail. I got this envelope. I was like, that's Brian Lamb one for me. And it was the dumbest thing ever. I mean, I'm just like, these presidential historians are such fucking hacks. You're supposed to rate all the presidents from 1 to 43 on 6 different categories. And the categories are just completely super, super specific. And because I cannot rank Millard Fillmore against William McKinley on how effectively they handled the White House landscaping, I sent the thing back. I said, I can't do this. I don't have the erudition to do this. Who does have the erudition to do this? And then I wake up on President's Day, and Ronald Reagan's the 10th best president in the history of the United States. And I look at the list of historians, and there's this one woman named Annalise Anderson, who basically is a fellow at one of these conservative think tanks, the Hoover Foundation, and her job, she gets fantastic sums for publishing these hagiographic books about how wonderful Ronald Reagan is. And one of the books is called Reagan in His Own Hand, and it's all his radio scripts that he delivered during the 1970s. This is supposed to be such a revelation. It's like, liberals think that Reagan is really stupid, but he wrote his own radio scripts. So obviously, she just went across and said, foreign policy, Reagan #1, domestic policy #1, White House landscaping, Reagan #1. Clearly some strategic voting was in order, and I could have just sent the damn thing in, Reagan, 42nd place, and then I don't think he's the worst president. I don't think he's the second worst president, but I have to say 43 for Millard Fillmore. Yeah, this. Hilarious. Anyway, I didn't send it in. But I was asked by Matt not to do comedy, so I won't do any. But to talk about progressive Hyde Park. Because this is the nation, guide to the nation, and he said all these people will come up here one after the other and describe their neighborhoods. That's how I was lured here. I didn't even get a free beer. So I took some notes. I was emailing a publisher friend of mine in New York, my old editor, and I said, if you ever should find yourself in Chicago, be sure to look me up, we can hang out. And of course, no one, especially New York publishing, ever finds themselves in Chicago. And then even if they manage to get to Chicago, no one ever finds themselves in Hyde Park. It's the middle of nowhere, The cops call it the island, So I tried to entice him. Actually, this is true. I said, well, the first thing I said was, it's the safest neighborhood in the Midwest. It's the only neighborhood I know that's protected by intercontinental ballistic missiles. Matt said that Barack Obama ruined his joke. Barack Obama ruined my street. And my dog Hildy has an FBI file now. But I tried to entice my editor friend by telling him all the sights he could see in Hyde Park. I swear to God. And I said you could see Ben Hecht's house, great 30s screenwriter, and he wrote the front page. He invented this. Yes, he invented the gangster movie. He has a giant. In the 1920s, he lived in Hyde Park in this giant 5-story yellow Victorian mansion that's right around the corner from me. I'm going to buy it someday. I think it's down to $10,000 now. Louis Farrakhan lives in my neighborhood. He's got the mosque on 47th. Muhammad Ali was down the street from him. He was 4944 South Woodlawn. Leopold and Loeb. Former Reagan Secretary of State George Shultz. Actually, his house on Blackstone, he got tapped by Nixon in 1969 to be the labor secretary, and he sold his house to a commune. So basically, in 1969, George Shultz's house became a commune, and my friend David Mober, who writes for The Nation in these times, he's the last guy left. Who is from him and his family are the last guys left in the commune. So he owns this really nice house right in the middle of Hyde Park, right down the street from the university. And I think he has this like $2 million asset on his hands because Schultz was selling at fire sale prices in 1969. Now of course it's worth $10,000. Milton Friedman, Muhammad Ali, Paul Douglas, Alderman Leon Dupre. Anyone know? Anyone? Old timer. He's the guy who he was the reform alderman who Tom Keene, the Speaker of the City Council, would always turn off his microphone whenever he would talk. And now Len's acolyte, his law partner, is running for Congress, Tom Gagan. Very well. But Hyde Park used to be this really, really, really exciting place. It used to be the Morse Avenue of Chicago. 55th Street was up and down 55th Street were jazz clubs. Coltrane played there. Charlie Parker. There's a fire station now on 55th and Ellis that used to be the home of the Compass Players, which was the birthplace of Chicago-style improv comedy. Elaine May and Mike Nichols. But from the list of people, you can tell it's the most integrated neighborhood in Chicago, and that terrified the University of Chicago. And they literally threatened to move the university brick by brick to Colorado, unless they got to buy up all the land and do with it whatever they wanted. So don't drive through Hyde Park, not because it's dangerous, but because you'll find yourself at a dead end. Dead ends everywhere. But that brings me to my hilarious final joke. They did urban renewal, which people in the neighborhood call Negro removal. And so 55th Street is now, they got this giant modern apartment building splitting it right down the middle. And I think they should bring back the jazz clubs. I think they should bring back the improv comedy. Now that Hyde Park is safe again and guarded by intercontinental ballistic missiles. Thank you. Buy my book.